Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. Hey, Jocelyn, good to see you. I'm just right off the bat, I'm going to just start naming names and saying hello to everybody who pops in. Thank you so much for being here today. It's Thirsty Thursday. And I don't know about you, but I've got my little hot milk mix going on here. Patsy, Jackie, hello. I'm thirsty. There's Jennifer with that golden smile. Sandy's here. Laura's here. Good grief. Aren't we having so much fun already? Y'all, today's show, it's a keeper, especially if you find yourself suffering from shrinking back, being led by fear, and just a little bit, like that. Hey, Joey, good to have you here. I will tell you, this is the deal. I have found one of the biggest needle movers in my life is confronting my own fear and sitting with it for a little bit and feeling it. No, that sounds super counterintuitive, doesn't it? But when I go through all of this for you, this is a note taker, by the way. You're going to want to take notes. If you're not getting the Daily Dish, all you have to do is go to Saving Dinner. You sign up for that newsletter and you will get tomorrow's newsletter with all the notes. I want you to have these notes because this is something you can fall back on. This stuff's all based on science, and it really helps us to move the needles in our lives so we can stop being led by fear. I was thinking about that today as I was getting ready for the show. And by the way, one of the things that I'm doing, and for all you out there who are doing the Hot Melt 30, pinkies up, by the way, I'm going to give you a strong pinkies up. Accountability is so exquisitely important to really getting things done, having somebody else in your life doing something with you. So my daughter and I are doing, bar classes together because I get my pickleball in, you guys know that. I get my weightlifting in, you know that, but the bar stuff seems to slide. It does. And I don't like that because bar is just talk about a needle mover. It reshapes your body and it's really incredible. I've never done anything that has had such impact on my body as bar. Such tiny little movements and such great big results. It really is incredible. So Caroline and I, my daughter, are doing bar classes together. We're doing them every other day. So I did it today with her. And I did not want to show up, y'all. I sure didn't want to do it. But guess what? I did it anyway. I made a promise to myself. I made a promise to my daughter. And we did it. We muscled through it. And it was, to quote my daughter, brutal. Yes, it was. 30 minutes. I think my thighs are still on fire. Patsy, do it with us. Come on. You can be a part of the whole thing. It's BARRE, BARRE. Sandy, look it up. You're on YouTube. I think barre and Pilates are on the same level, but I like barre better than Pilates. Pilates, to really get into Pilates, you need all those machines. You need all that. I mean, there's Pilates stuff that you can just do on the mat. But I'm a big barre believer. Yep, Patsy's going to do it too. I'm doing it every other day, a half hour every other day. So today was my day. Tomorrow you have off, Patsy. And then anybody who wants to do it with me, pinkies up if you're game. You can find YouTube. On YouTube, they have really good barre classes. There is a gal named Lydia Margoli, I think. Look at her body. I mean, it's just her body is chiseled. Now, we're not all going to get into that place. She went there. But this is the result of small, tiny movements. You want to join, Amber? Come on down. It's a half hour. Find a half hour. If you can't do a half hour, do 15 minutes. If you can't do 15, do 10. Just do it every other day. Every other day. So today's Thursday. I'm not doing it again till Saturday morning. So I'm just saying, get her done. You gonna do it? You're doing Silver Seekers tomorrow? Then do it today. There's still today. You can still do it today, Patsy. Calling you on it. Hey, Joey. Hello, by the way. Good to have you here. And Diane and Flynn. I'm so happy you're here. Let's do it. Who's going to bar? Anyone? Psh, 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 psh. There come the pinkies. Okay. Let's bar. All right. You know what? You choose how much time you're doing it every day. You choose. I'm just doing it. I'm just on it. So anyway, I'm just letting you know I was on that. And I thought about, and then when I was getting ready, after I, got all sweaty and everything, did my thing, and I was getting ready for right now, I started thinking how fear had led me down a path up until I was about in my mid 50s, right? I was in my mid 50s before I finally figured out that I didn't have to be kowtowed by fear and that I didn't have to overcome fear, but I had to make fear part of my life. And I don't mean that in the place that I'm just like pals with fear, but how I had to, what's the best way to shrink it down and make it fit that it's never going to go away. It's just not. And we talked about this greatly when we did Full Bloom, and I don't even remember the name of the Full Bloom but was all about fear. And we talked about the fear fence at the Courage Castle and all of that. And in today's show, I'm going to be talking about how fear holds us back and how to overcome that. Okay, that's what I want you to just hold on to as I sit here flapping my gums about it and not telling you about it. Oh, Alice is in the house too. So is Laura and our Jackie, of course. So good to have you here. What was it in Creating Confidence? I don't think it was. I don't think it was, Patsy. It was a Full Bloom. I don't remember. You know what? I don't remember. But it was like probably a year, more than a year ago, probably a couple of years ago. Anyway, let's get on with the show. Linda, hi. Glad you're here. So if I miss saying hello to you, say hi to me, okay? Because I hate missing people. And part of my whole thing is, part of what I was going to be talking about was also that fear and also connection. What I was thinking about was how when I'm connected, when I feel connected to God, my community, my spouse, my children, it's funny how fear is so much less than. Have you noticed that? Isn't it so weird how connection and love and community and all of that super shadows all of those fearful things that we think about, it was on one of yours. You saved all your Crowdcast. It's on Crowdcast. So I know it's one of those. I know you were there, Patsy. Anyway, so the quote of the week: the pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity, and the optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. Winston Churchill said that as he was being bombed. His whole country was being bombed. You think he said that from a place of authority, of knowing? You think? How about us? When we see one little thing astray, some of us just lose our, what? And we just can't even pull ourselves together because everything has to be just so. I call that the hand-wringing syndrome. My mother was like that, unfortunately. I loved my mother so much, you know that. And she really was my best friend later on in life. However, she really did have this propensity toward everything having to be just so. And if it wasn't, then she just lost her collective everything. And that's no way to live. That's living your life on fight or flight. And that is no way to have vibrancy in your life either. Vibrancy comes from a calm and cool and collected, connected center. We do that above, we do that within and without. And we do that with our feet firmly planted on the floor. We're connected to this earth as well. And I like to think about all of that and being firmly rooted because it makes you feel grounded, literally grounded. Anyway, that's just my brain going kind of crazy today. You know how your brain just kind of takes off on all these tangents. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, I got to go down and get my journal. I didn't write my journal today, and I just feel so discombobulated. It's sitting right here, and I will after the show, letting you know. I'm not going to lose my Hot Melt 30 habits. So, the other thing that I have to tell you about is our Leptofix, my go-to supplement that I take every morning without fail. Every morning. It's a great deal right now. Buy 3, you're going to get the 4th one free. It's basically going to take you through a year. That's a fabulous deal. Now, leptin gets broken as we lose weight. It gets broken as our fat goes because it lives in our fat. I've told you that before all this week. So if you are having a stuck if you have lots of plateaus in your life, I'm going to tell you what that's about? Plateaus are about your leptin not doing the job that it needs to be doing, because leptin keeps your appetite in check. Ghrelin's the one that runs it off, makes you kind of crazy. So if we can get our leptin in check, oftentimes ghrelin comes back into check too. It's a balance. That's what leptin does. On an empty stomach, you take 1-2 capsules every morning on an empty stomach, and then it just does its thing automatically. It's fabulous. Who was here last night for Gorgeous Skin? I mean, to all of you who were here for Gorgeous Skin and actually stayed going through all of our technical difficulties, thank you very much. It was kind of a cluster, wasn't it? It was just a madhouse mess. Poor Jenny and I were like back and forth. She was trying out the hotspot on her phone. That's, yeah, that's probably why you are hungry all the time, Laura. There's lots of things we can do with that. We'll talk about it. But I'm going to tell you right now that it was just, when you have something as big of a platform as Crowdcast, it doesn't work off a hotspot on your phone. And also a hotel Wi-Fi, that can be sketchy. So that's why that happened. She hosts it, and then I'm just brought on as a guest. But it did end great. Thank you, Patsy. I appreciate that. But one of the things that I wanted to do, and I didn't do, was bring out all the products and show it to you and do show and tell and explain why they're all so important. So we might, in January, not before the end of next year, we might end up doing another one, and I'll do a whole demo with you on the skincare and how to use it, because it's really great stuff. And I hate to see people not understand how to use it, because it really is lovely. So how do you like that? To get your Leptofix, by the way, it's at savingdinner.com/show. And if you are interested in going and watching that skincare webinar, all the good, well, you miss all the goofy stuff, I think. But if you're interested in watching it, the replay is at savingdinner.com/gorgeous. There's a lot of good information there. And I'm going to bet you've got some collagen at home, perfect paleo protein. Start using it every day, especially if you're Hot Melt 30ing. It's part of your deal. Am I right? All righty. Love those puppies. Gosh, I don't remember who you are. Is it Lisa? Is it Lisa? I think it is. Thanks, Alice. You are a sweetheart. I don't remember who you are, but I know you all have these like little names. I think it's Lisa. Tell me if I'm right. I'm glad you're here, Sue. Chris is in the house too. We got some stuff to go with here today, and I'm going to pull our friends here at TikTok in. Are you watching our TikTok stuff, by the way? We have some really good stuff in there. Lots of really good conversations. And I'm not having audio trouble. Or is anybody else? I don't think so, because they're all talking to me. You need to get it together. I don't know who you are. Love those puppies. Anyway, you're here, and that's what's important. Let's get busy and check your speakers. Love those puppies. I'm going to bring on TikTok. We're going to talk about some really important stuff, because in my opinion, one of the biggest things that's holding us back, you ready for it? It's fear. Fear, fear, fear. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of us who live in a state almost of perpetual fear. And we're going to talk about what that looks like, because the remedy to this perpetual fear of this, fear of that, fear of this, fear of that, is courage and knowledge applied. Courage and knowledge applied. And that will be the key to opening up the doors that you want to the type of a life that you want. If we want to, choose to, and make a decision to, we can unlearn anything. And you know what that includes? Fear. Fear. Fear is mostly learned. Fear, I repeat, is mostly learned. Most of us don't, we're not born with fear. We learn it along the way. And some of the ways that we learn this fear is from, our homes of origin, our families of origin. It's being bullied at school, whatever it is. Hi there, Sil Rose. Nice to have you here, Amber. Yeah, it's that's how it comes. And when it comes along, we just take it on like we're supposed to have this, and it's part of what our life should be. We have different fears. I mean, honestly, if you were ever bitten by a dog as a little child, you might have an actual fear that all dogs are evil, right? But all dogs aren't evil. You just happen to, unfortunately bump into a dog that was. So for some people, we have to like change all of that kind of a, narrative so that we can have the kind of life that we want and actually have a dog too that we want, maybe, right? So if we can unlearn anything, including fear, then we need to be open to what fear might be holding us back. Because I guarantee you that everyone has some kind of a fear that is no longer relative to what their life is about and where they want to go with their lives and the kind of life that they want to live and they want to get rid of. I promise you. And if you have a look at that, Jackie said she has a fear of dogs, but Lincoln was awesome. My Lincoln dog is an amazing dog. That's all I have to say. Here's a great quote from Ambrose Redmond. Listen to this one. Courage is not the absence of fear, rather the judgment that something else is more important than fear. You hear that? Do you hear that? Courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the judgment that something else is more important than fear. And I'm going to tell you right now, your life is more important than fear. Having a vibrant life is more important than allowing fear to overtake it and overshadow it. Now, we all have something. We all have something, but we all need to remember to back away for just half a second and to look at it and look at it from your adult feet, right? Look at it from that perspective, not the 4-year-old fearful kid, but look at it from the place of where you are right now today. Oh, Scylla Rose says she's got 2 huskies. My daughter has 3. I know they can be big and awesome and kind of scary, but they're beautiful, soft, sweet dogs. I know, I agree with you. We get fearful of things, but we also get fearful of situations, of emotions, of people, and it's just really pretty intense. So a cosmic 2x4 is what if instead of, this is one of my thoughts that I had. Hear me. What if instead of shrinking down and getting small in the face of fear, we start to recognize it as a reminder instead? A reminder. Okay? Here's something that I wrote down. This is just kind of a Sylvia, I'm so glad to know that that's you. All right. Sylvia, my friend over at TikTok. Here, listen to this one. This is a conversation that I put together of what fear might be saying to you. What fear might be the conversation we would have if fear came and sat down and had a conversation. Get this. Hey, Leanne, it's me, Fear. This is your reminder that I'm nothing. And this is, again, remember, this is fear talking to me, right? And you need to rise up because, there's something that is way more important than my old dog and pony show. Because my old dog and pony show has been bringing you down. It's been making you shrink back. It's been making you play less than. It's been making you play small. That's what fear does. And we use fear in that same way we use other triggers to do things to create vibrancy. If we're smart, if we're going to step over the line, we're doing this with the Hot Melt 30. This is how this works. We've begun meditative practices. We're starting to journal. You know what that is doing? You know what that is doing? That is bringing us to the place of understanding that our mindsets do create the atmosphere for fear to either thrive or to be snuffed out. because most of the time the what's going on, all of this fear that's going on in our lives, most of the time this stuff is super inappropriate. It's just no longer relevant. It is a past thing. Laura's right. Fear is a liar. It is. It's telling you something kind of crazy. I'm reading a book by Srini. Um, I can't remember how to say his last name, but he's a friend of mine, and I can never say Srini's last name. But it's a book called Life Unlocked, and he's talking about the first chapter is all about the amygdala, and it is absolutely startling and mind blowing. So if you need a good book to read, that's what I'm reading for the Hot Milk 30. And you have to retrain this. You have to retrain your brain to start thinking from a different place. And as you do, you'll notice shrink, shrink, shrink. There goes your fear. Your fear starts to go down. Now, remember what I said. In my opinion, fear lives with us. It's part of whatever. It's part of our thing, unfortunately. But we can shrink it down to make it fit, and it could be tiny and small. It doesn't have to be huge and overwhelming. We look at our world sometimes like we have got to obliterate fear or we're never going to have the life that we want. Not true. To me, that's kind of perfectionism, It's got to be all one way or the other. That's not true. I look at it from the perspective of we all have some kind of fear, but we can put it in its place. We can put it down and make it smaller. It doesn't have to overwhelm us. It doesn't have to take us out. We don't have to roll around in the past either, because that's oftentimes where fear is. We don't have to do that. So we have to just look at different things that we can do, heart, mind, body, and soul, to fix things that maybe overwhelm us, because overwhelm and fear, boy, do they go hand in hand. Am I right? They do. Get out your quotes, like, this week's quote, whatever quote resonates with you. I've got a quote right here, this one. What you focus on grows. What you think about expands. What you dwell upon determines your destiny. That's my Robin Sharma quote. I keep this with me. I usually have this up on, up on my board, and it fell off. So I'm got it here, and it's kind of great because I'm looking at it, remembering this all the time. This keeps me from fear. This keeps me from fear because what I'm focusing on is going to grow. You focused on fear, it's going to grow. What you think of, if you're going to think about it, it's going to expand. That fear is going to get bigger. And that you dwell upon it, your destiny is going to be filled with fear. You hear me on that? It's a big deal. This is a big deal. That's true. Oh my gosh, Lindsay, what a good one. On fear, one cannot be brave who has no fear. It's true. What courage is in the midst of fear is stepping forward anyway. It's understanding that fear is always going to be present, and in that presence of fear is courage. Courage. That was my meditation this morning. I did a courage meditation. So we can do things excellently that support our mission and create a vibrant life by understanding that we need to put fear in its place. So how are we going to do that? All right, number one is we're going to breathe into the present moment. Now, Deepak Chopra says your breath is a tool. And he's absolutely 100% right. Navy SEALs know this. They do box breathing in order to control the parasympathetic nervous system. So as you inhale, that is your sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight. And as you exhale, that is your parasympathetic nervous system. And that invokes calm. So you bring it in and you're just like, there it all is. And you can feel that tightness, right? When you do it. And when you breathe it out, there it all goes. I love that. So when we do this, we are taking command of our body's sympathetic nervous system. Isn't that great? And parasympathetic nervous system. Number two is to notice it, feel it, and take a look. Here's the thing you need to ask yourself, a big, important question. You ready? Does this serve me? Does it? Is it, is it a cool thing to be fearful of something that I was fearful of it for? Does it work anymore? Do I need to take this issue with me? I had a real fear. I shared my fear of abandonment. I had an abandonment issue that is something that happened to me when I was 4 years old that colored my entire life. And I carried this fear with me. Sometimes we don't even know it's a fear, but it's just this foreboding that's in the back of our minds. And so my point is that we, instead of allowing this fear to just overcome us and cloud us up, we notice it. We notice and just say, what's going on here? What's this about? And then we figure out, even if we haven't exactly labeled it as fear, we figure out that what we need to do is just not serve it anymore. It is not serving us. Don't serve it anymore. Because what we do is feed it. We allow it to run with us. And sometimes it's in the background, sometimes it's in the foreground. But the point is, it is there. So if we sit with it, we can pretty much darn well figure it out. And if you're using your tools, you're using your quotes, you're using your journal, your meditation, and your breathing practices, all of this stuff, even a mindful mug works. You're clapping to shut the kitchen down. I love that trick, by the way. I do that one a lot. You're using your hydration, your sleep. All of these are tools to bring you into the authenticness of who you are. That's how that works, Number 3 is to reframe it and ask yourself this. And this is from that book too, by the way, that I'm reading, Life Unlocked. Am I in danger? Am I? Am I truly in danger? Ask yourself that question. Am I in danger? What are you trying to show me, fear? Ask that question. What happens if I choose to ignore the fear? Now, think about all of that. What does happen if you choose to ignore the fear? Well, if you choose to ignore the fear, oftentimes it shows up as not fear at all. And it's just kind of like one of these things that it's just a reflex. I believe we sometimes have reflex fears where we're just ready to be fearful. That was my mother. I told you about that. This is what we need to do, because this is how we get to the place of finally putting fear into its place and making it manageable. Number 3 is to reframe it and ask, am I in danger? Like I already said that one, trying to show me, what can I do? And then from there, we have to look at our gut instinct and our intuition, because our gut instinct and our intuition is not fear ever. You hear me on that? Your gut instinct is not fear. It's not. It might say that's a warning, or that's a problem, or you don't want to go there, but it's not going to be fearful. It's not going to be fearful. This puts us in place of being able to then go back and to reframe what the heck is going on. Is this something that is putting me in danger? Or is this just an old thing that is no longer serving me? Think about that for a minute, because this is really impactful. This is really impactful because it will take you oftentimes to a place where you're able to rename and reframe something. And you'll find that it's really not fear at all. It's just old garbage that you've been dragging around your entire life and you just never processed it. Think about that. Number 5, do something to stand up to fear. This is where we get into that tricky place of getting our amygdalas in order, because our amygdalas work on fear. Amygdalas hate risk, hate danger, hate any change. Although this is the weird part and kind of the paradox of the whole thing is your amygdala will want to stay in like maybe a bad situation or keep doing the wrong things. Like, for example, if you have like a really bad habit of, eating all the wrong crap, right? You're eating a bunch of crap. Your amygdala doesn't want to change. Your amygdala wants to stay the same, even though that's putting you at risk and danger, right? Really, in the long run. But your amygdala wants the same thing. So when we're training our amygdalas, we have to stand up to it. And we're standing up sometimes to a fear, which your amygdala is the fear center. And we need to just get it to take a seat, and we need to have our prefrontal cortex in charge. This is the money maker right here. This is the big thinker. This is the place where your brain is able to do the big thinking, the abstract thinking, the contrast, to see what is truly what. It's important. The other thing is that sometimes our fear isn't fear at all, but it's just we're scared to ask a question. I had somebody on TikTok who said, I'm just kind of scared to ask this question because it's a stupid question. And I felt so awful about that poor woman asking that question. And I said, no question's stupid, unless you don't ask it. So ask me. And then, of course, it wasn't a stupid question. And I answered her question and I felt like I helped her out. But I want to empower every single woman who's listening right now. If you don't ask questions and out of fear, being scared that your question's going to be stupid, no, be willing, be brave enough to step into the next level of your life so you can have the answers that you need to do the next thing. That's it. That's it. And who cares what anybody thinks about you? Do you really care what the rest of the world thinks about you? If you've got the answer to your question and it's going to help you to the next level of your life and it's a perfect stranger, are you more worried about what that perfect stranger thinks about you than getting the answers that you need to your questions? Isn't that funny how we do that? But we do. So you want to ask for help? Ask for help. If you are scared to share anyway. You show your amygdala who's boss because you are the queen of your own life when you determine to be the queen of your own life, right? Einstein said you cannot solve problems by using the same kind of thinking you used when you created them in the first place. In other words, you cannot conquer fear from a place of fear. Does that land? You cannot conquer fear from a place of fear. Of course not. You can't. So use it to your advantage. Oh, you're fearful of this? Watch this, amygdala. Let's go with that. Use the energy of that fear and instead do it anyway. You can dismiss it if it's old and outdated, gleaning again, only the lesson from it. Our lessons are part of the experience file. And the experience file helps us so that we learn the lesson and we don't have to repeat it. But we don't have to roll around in the emotional debris of that old, horrible memory. We don't. That's living in fear, by the way. It is, because we keep picking up that same old garbage. We don't need to do that. And we need to keep on building our bridges. And our bridges are moving through the gap. And the gap is you are here, you want to be here, and you've got to build a bridge to get there. That's what goals are all about. Those are the building materials, and they get you to where you want to go. Vibrancy exists on the path and in the construction, by the way, of that bridge. It's not just getting there. It's taking action and the doing of. And have you noticed that, all of you who are doing Hot Melt 30, how differently you feel about your life and how much vibrancy is starting to just drop in little by little, drip by drip, simply because you're doing the Hot Melt 30? Isn't that crazy? I love that. Because the thing is, and you know this, and this is the absolute truth, vibrancy cannot coexist with fear. It doesn't. Vibrancy is on the other side of fear. It's on the other side of fear. And when we step away from fear and make a decision and a choice that fear is not going to be holding us back anymore, and we're just stepping away from it. We're stepping away from it. We don't have to fix fear, y'all. We don't have to go in there and fix it and coddle it. We don't have to feed it. We don't have to do anything with it. Just say, okay, there you are. All right, whatever. Ignore it. Neglect it, maybe even. Right? Don't neglect yourself. Neglect the fear. And walk into vibrancy. Walk toward vibrancy. Because your vibrancy will extinguish the fear. Every single time. Every single time. The way you feel, it will go up a level. And the way that when you walk away from it and leave it behind, you are going to feel like the most courageous, bravest woman on the planet. So you know what to do. You know how to put fear in its place. You know exactly what's next for you, don't you? You keep up these good practices. You keep meditating. You keep drinking your water and your hot melt mix and all the rest of it. And keep that hydration going. Keep sleeping. Keep in community with each other. Keep track of your life in the way that you want it. Do not settle for last place anymore. You need to put yourself into the equation, and you need to make yourself a priority. That's what the Hot Melt 30 is all about. And as you do this, as you tend the garden of your own soul, you are going to reap a harvest that you're not ever going to be able to. You'll never be able to stop the harvest. It'll just keep going. That's what overflowing abundance is all about, and you can do it in your own heart. Put fear in its place, y'all. Though it doesn't have any impact on you if you don't let it. What do you think of that? All right. Well, Flynn's feeling good. I can see that. And have you seen her pictures in the Hot Melt Sprint group? And by the way, if anybody's interested over here in the Hot Melt Sprint group, savingdinner.com, we'll just go to savingdinner.com. All the information is there. We've got it. If you've missed our announcements, go to savingdinner.com/announcements. All the information is there, and everything you might have missed is there as well. I will see you on Monday for Motivational Monday. I hope you have a delightful weekend. Bye-bye. Peace be with you.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.